Today in the Small Interview Project, I'll be talking to Andrew Hingeley from Kainos Print in Canberra.
Hi Andrew, how are you today?
Good.
Look, thanks for taking part in the Small Interview Project with me.
It's a pleasure.
Kainos Print, tell me what it is you guys do.
Well, we're printers.
Yep.
We have been in the printing business one way or another in different forms since probably 1986.
Okay, so got a long history.
Yeah. I came up to Canberra from Geelong as a minister in the Anglican Church, and I was working at St Mark's Theological College, I guess it was,
right, in
the area of lay education, and the programs that I put together were all I typeset them and got them printed and so on in the very, very early days of desktop publishing.
Right.
And when I left that environment in about, I forget exactly when it was, about 1991 or something like that, we started off a firm called Trendsetting.
Right.
And we were involved in printing there for until 2005, I think.
Right.
And then we started off a purely online business, which we call Kainos Print.
Oh, Kainos, okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been involved one way or another in different capacities since 1986.
Okay. So what exactly do you print? Is there a particular focus area? Or?
Well, we print anything you can print on paper and on other substrates too. But the main thing by far that we print and that we are interested in printing is books.
Okay.
And booklets, I suppose. I mean, we make a fairly artificial distinction between the two of them, but yeah, books is what we mainly print.
Well, I have to confess, I did know that because you did print my book, so I can confess as a customer of yours that the service is very, very efficient in the way that the whole online space works, and I think that's one of your differences is the fact you can do everything from the whole quotation, the order, the upload, pretty much everything without physically having to come and see you.
Yep.
And that's even if you're based in Canberra or Australia-wide, I'm sure.
Well, we're based here, but we seek to appeal Australia-wide.
Yes.
And we have customers. I mean, you name any remote location in Australia, we've got customers there.
Yeah.
From the Gulf of Carpentaria to Christmas Island, and various sort of very remote places in Queensland. We've got Mount Isa, for instance. We have customers. Lightning Ridge, Coober Pedy, and all over the place.
So, look, here's my final question before I move on to my standard questions: is what has been the one biggest change, sort of, in the whole industry? I suppose you've probably seen a lot of change occur in the process of printing, but what's the biggest change or the biggest trend that's occurred in recent years?
Well, I suppose. Look, there's a few. The emergence of e-books and iBooks and so on, online books has been quite a challenge to the actual ink on paper industry, and the ink on paper industry is probably still struggling to come to terms with that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's been a terrific increase in the number of people going into self-publishing, and one of the major book gatherer of statistics, Bowker in the US, who issue ISBN numbers and so on. So they've got access to all the data. They say that there's been quite a considerable increase in the number of people self-publishing books compared to previous years. And that's the space, a word I don't particularly like, but that's the space that we really move in, the self-publishing business. And because we spent, both Kay and I spent, a couple of decades of our lives as booksellers.
Yes.
We were able to sort of look at when people come to us from both sides of the fence. Is the book saleable? Well, we can put on our bookseller's hat
Yep.
and make some comments about that. Is the cover going to get in the way of sales? Well, we can certainly make some comments
Sure.
about that. So I'd say probably two things: the emergence of e-books and the increase in people self-publishing
Yep.
are the two main trends I've seen.
Well, because it's
recently.
so easy, using people like yourselves, it's so easy to actually self-publish. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars going through that whole publication process.
And we encourage people to order small and
Yes.
order frequently,
Yeah, absolutely.
rather than invest a great deal of money in a run of say 5,000 copies or something like that.
Fill the
When
shelf
in
with
fact
books.
you only want 200 or
Yeah,
something like that.
Exactly. Okay, excellent. That's very interesting. All right, let me get into my small interview project questions for you, Andrew. Look, why did you go into business in the first place? And you've sort of touched on it a little bit in your introduction there, but why did you go into business?
I've been. I think I'm not a good. I'm not a good member of a hierarchical organisation.
Right.
A fairly independent,
Yep.
entrepreneurial type of person, and for instance, in our book selling career, I think I probably opened for others and for myself, or for ourselves rather, about 10 bookshops in the space of about 18 or 20 odd years.
Oh, okay.
But I tend to open them and then move on to
Something else.
to another one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably the main reason. I've never been a terribly good
A good employee.
employee. When I see bosses that haven't got a clue,
Yeah.
organisations being badly run, I can't hang around.
You don't want to be part of it. Okay.
Hmm.
If you had your time over again, would you do anything differently, or would you change anything?
I think I'd probably say what an awful lot of people asked a similar question say. That is, I'd want to go into it with an awful lot more capital behind me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you believe your planning was okay when you went into it?
Well, when you went into it, I mean, what it? We've been
Yeah,
into
you've
an
evolved, haven't
awful
you?
lot of
Yeah.
businesses. I think into this business, the current one, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints. I mean, we have our son is an IT specialist, and he's been an integral part of what we've done. And I think his IT specialty or specialisation and ability, combined with my love of English and writing, has certainly helped on our website. It's been a happy marriage of IT capability and
the message.
and the message.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think I would have done anything a great deal differently.
Okay. No, that's good. What's your biggest challenge in business?
Well, at the present time, it's recovering our Google rankings that have been hit for 6 by Panda and Penguin.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge generally is the balance between working in the business and working on the business, and I think that's a massive challenge.
You just ask yourself my next question. What is your biggest challenge in working on the business versus, or how do you manage working on the business versus in the business? You're alluding to that.
What I try to do is to put into practice something that I learned actually from another online business, Cavendish.org.uk.
Okay.
it was, and he wrote a wonderful article once on spending the first hour of the day working on the business rather than in the business.
Right.
Don't or shut your email down at night. Don't start it up again until after you've done your first hour. I mean, I think that's probably as good a way as any. The other thing is I work very hard to prioritise what I do during the day.
Right.
Every morning, the first thing that I will do is to list all of the tasks for the day, and then sort them by priorities.
Yep.
And it's amazing how much work I can get done that way, because you're not looking, what should I do next? Should I do this job? Should I do that job?
Yeah.
Should I do this task? It's just all there, and I can sort of almost, not mindlessly, but because you put your mind to it earlier on, but just go through it without having to worry about all that sort of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's a challenge, and I do not pretend to be terribly good at following my own advice of putting the first hour of the day into it. I mean, there's always urgent jobs and so on, and it's a real challenge to deal with that.
Okay. I think you're not by you, you're not on your own there as far as the business owners go. And look, my last question for you, Andrew, is what advice would you have for somebody who's contemplating going into business?
Have a passion for it.
Yep.
I had a conversation with a customer of ours. His book was not dissimilar in content to yours. It was a how to be successful in business type of book, and he put his finger on it. In a nutshell, he knew absolutely nothing about the process.
Right.
And as you've indicated in relation to our website, he learnt an awful lot from that.
Yep.
And I helped him a lot through the things that he didn't know. And he rang up, this was might have been last Monday or last Friday, he rang up and he just said, I really wanted to thank you in person rather than send you an email. And we got to talking. He said, the problem with people going into business is 90% of people do it because they've got to do it. They don't really have any option.
Mm.
But he said for the other 10%, it's a calling. And he said, and I was so pleased to hear him say this, he said, it's obviously a calling for you, which it is.
Yeah.
So I would say that, the advice I would have for people going into business is don't go into it unless you have a passion and you can see it as a calling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Andrew, look, I could talk to you for ages on some of the thoughts and ideas that you've got, but look, thank you very much for taking part in my small interview project.
Thank you very much for asking me.
Pleasure.